What up, Wastelands? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining me once again for another conversion video. Now, a few months back, Tom from Spork Syndicate reached out to me and asked if I would be a guest horseman and doing one of their build challenges, specifically for the Wastelands Warlord build. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got a 1979 Ford pickup that I've actually already had some ideas on what I'm going to do to turn it into a Wastelands Warlord, which I know for me is very odd. Usually I just throw stuff together and see what sticks, but got some ideas, so this video should go pretty quick. Of course, saying that, we'll see what happens, but first of all, I'm going to get this thing apart and get her into the stripper. So, as the paint's drying on the casting, let's talk about some of the bits and pieces that we're using for this build. The ram and the tracks are coming from Angel of Combustion. The weapons, these are from Warlock 3D, and the exhaust is from FrenchForge, and the plates, they're just from the regular old implements of CARnage. Now, if you've watched some of my past videos, you know that I used a lot of the lift kits from We Play Games, which are fantastic, but I want to do something a little bit different and not just like keep doing the same thing over and over, even though those lift kits do really make for a badass Wastelands Warlord. But we're going to go with the tracks this time, so we're going to get these all primed up in black and dry brushed with the silver, and then when the paint's all dry and everything else, we'll start getting everything put together. I'm going to be doing a little bit different method or technique or order for the weathering portion of it, so we'll see how that goes. But let's get these painted up in black and dry brushed in silver, and then we'll see where we're at. Let's do it. Alright, so if you have really fast eyes, or if you slow down the dry brushing process, you'll notice that I changed from using the regular kind of flat, normal dry brush, well, a rounded dry brush rather, to just an old flat brush that has longer bristles. That's because on the inside of these tank tracks, you can now see that there's actually more detail and stuff in there, like the struts, or not the struts, but the shocks and everything else, that the dry brush, the regular rounded dry brush, just wasn't getting in there enough to hit, and I didn't want to break off any of these tines or anything, so that's what I did with that. So next we're going to start moving on to the casting, and before we start getting everything back together, I'm not going to put the glass back in the window and leave the windows open, but I am going to put some mesh on the inside before we get it all glued back together and start getting it all pieced together as well. Got a little dude that I did. It's going to go on the inside. See him. I don't normally do minis just because I'm not really that good at it. This guy's going to be on the inside, so it shouldn't be glaringly obvious that it's not perfect. So that's going to go on the inside. But first, let's get the mesh on the windows, and then we'll get it glued back together and then start assembling it. But yeah, this is going to be a badass Wastelands Warrior. Alright, so we got the mesh in the windows. Just did the side detail and stuff, the little runner and everything. Painted up where the area we're going to put in the tail lights. I just washed it real quick with some Nuln oil. It's going to be the first layer of grime I'm going to put on there. Still going to be probably doing some chipping and everything else. But that's going to be the first thing that I do. Next, we're going to get it back together, at least get the interior on there. And then we'll start figuring out how we're going to get the tracks and everything on there. Oh, well, that was easy enough. Then I'll get the headlights and everything painted up, the tail lights. The ram is probably going to cover up the headlights, but I like to do it anyway. Like I said, it just really kind of brings it all together for me and just makes it look cooler, at least during the process. So yeah, let's get it glued, and then we'll get the headlight and tail lights on there, and then we'll start looking at getting the tracks and everything else on there. But yeah, looking pretty cool so far. Alright, so we're all glued together and everything. Next we're going to be getting the tracks on there, and with these tracks from Angel of Combustion, It's come with these grooves, and I find that a thicker piece of cardstock works really well just to fit perfectly right into there. You want to make sure you're getting the same number of groove, the same groove on each side, so it's not going to be all lopsided. And then you just glue it on in there, and the casting will sit right on top. Voila! That's going to be perfectly right on there. Obviously blocking the doors, but that's okay. That's why I didn't put mesh in the windows so they can get out, or not, whatever. But yeah, those tracks, they fit just perfectly for this casting. So I'm going to get those on there, then start getting everything else put together. But yeah, this is looking really cool. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, tracks are on, looking pretty cool. I mean, even just with the tracks on there and the mesh in the windows and stuff, this just looks really, really badass. Really liking that Ford F-150. Next, we're going to start getting everything put together. First, we're going to do a little bit of chipping on the areas where there would be some chipping, so we can get some rust and stuff going on there. Going to use the dusting powder this time, in addition to my regular rust routine, just to get some of the internal tracks and everything else. I have some powder that's actually, or pigment powder that's actually called track rust, or rust track, or something like that. So that's what we're going to be using on some of these, but first let's get some chipping done, and then we'll get everything put together and see where we're at. But yeah, totally badass. Alright, everything is all together and really looking pretty badass. We got a few touch-up things to do here and there, but all in all, I mean, yeah, just outstanding. I still want to do just a little something more on the hood and on the top of the camper, just because I think it's kind of more of a blank space I'm not really caring for before I get on and start doing the rust stuff. So I have some decals I'm going to slap on there. Should make everything pop. It's one of the things when you're doing decals, you have to make sure that it's going to contrast right with the coloring. So these are going to be white decals, as black wouldn't show up quite as well. So let's get those decals on there, and then we'll start doing some rust and dust, and yeah, this Wastelands Warlord will be ready to take on any and all. So let's get some decals going. Oh yeah, that's definitely what this one needed. Just looks outstanding. I love that. So next, we're going to move on and get all the rust and everything done, and then dust it, and this thing is going to be good to go. For the rust and everything, we're going to get everybody into the pool this time. We're going to start off with some of the dry from MIG. Going to do some of the dark rust, probably the sponge effect, same way I did the chipping. Going to move on to the orange rust from Vallejo, and then finally doing some of the track rust from the AK on the tracks and everything, obviously. And then this thing will be good to go. But yeah, let's get this thing all corroded and rusted up and get it going. Looking great. Alright, and there we have it. One Wastelands Warlord, custom made from a 1979 Ford F-150. Totally badass. Had to, of course, add a little bit of blood and everything on there because, you know, that's what spikes are for. Run over pedestrians, right? Got a little blood on the windshield. Wouldn't you know it, the one time that I'd actually do a mini and it turns out halfway decent, can't even see the little guy anymore. But hey, at least I did it, and I know it's there. You know it's there. You saw the video. Didn't see the dude too much, but anyway, we all know he's there. Huge thanks to the Four Horsemen, Spork Syndicate, Crossroad Diecast Speed Shop, Maple Leaf Customs, and Diecast Graveyard for allowing me to join and be a guest horseman this time around for the Wastelands Warlord build challenge. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, do me a favor, hit that like button. My goal is to do weekly videos, whether they're vehicle builds, terrain builds, battle reports, whatever. So if that's for you, hit the sub button below and ring the bell to get notified when new content drops. I do sell all my builds pretty inexpensively on my Etsy page, so if you want to pick something up, see what else I've done, you can even request a custom build. Check out the link in the description below. If you'd really like to show some love, head on over to my Patreon page and get signed up. Every bit helps to keep the paint flowing, the printer printing, and the camera rolling. Until next time, keep your foot on the gas and your finger on the trigger. Gaslands NorCal, signing out.